They told you success was out there in the bank account, in the penthouse, in the applause. They pointed to trophies, titles, and 10,000 likes, but they were wrong. They were always wrong, because success never starts outside. Success starts inside, before the money, before the power, before the spotlight ever finds your name. There is a fire, deep within, that either burns hot with vision, or fades quietly in the shadows of doubt. The truth, you don't get success, you become it, not by chasing it, but by forging yourself into the kind of person who commands it. Because success does not answer to the needy, it bows to the ready, the one who has built the strength, the discipline, the clarity of mind to rise, before anything outside has changed. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." But what he didn't say, what you must understand, is that thought alone is not enough. It's the belief beneath the thought, the image you hold of yourself in silence, that carves the road to greatness. You want change, start with the mirror, because the most dangerous lie is not that success is impossible. It's the whisper that says you must wait. Wait for permission, wait for certainty, wait until the world sees it in you first. But Edison didn't wait. He failed 10,000 times and kept going, because inside he already saw the light long before the world did. So he built it, and so must you. See, the real war is not out there. It's not against competitors. It's not against haters. It's not against circumstance. The battle is within, against fear, against doubt, against the small self that clings to comfort and calls it wisdom. The enemy is the excuse. The enemy is the story you keep telling yourself about why now isn't the right time, why you're not ready, why maybe you're not good enough. But deep down, you know that's not the truth. The truth is this: there is a version of you that is powerful beyond measure, unshakable, focused, dangerous in the best way possible, and it's waiting for you to stop negotiating with average, waiting for you to stop romanticizing failure like it's some kind of destiny, waiting for you to take command of your mind, because until you do, the world won't take you seriously. Clarity is not found. It is forged. You don't discover purpose by accident. You decide it, and then you pursue it with a fire so bright the world has no choice but to step aside or get burned. Look at Carnegie, a man born in poverty, working in a cotton factory at age 13. No connections, no advantages, no roadmap. But he had something stronger, a vision, a relentless inner demand that said, "I will not die unknown." That was not arrogance, that was conviction, and it came from within. You see, every empire that ever rose first inside the mind of someone the world called crazy, someone who believed when belief made no sense, someone who moved forward when standing still was easier, someone who saw what wasn't there, and then built it. Success starts there, not in strategies, not in tactics, but in the identity you accept as non-negotiable, and that's what most people miss. They try to hack their way to results. They chase habits without changing identity. They pray for discipline but keep feeding distraction. They scream for success while living like they don't deserve it. But you must do what most won't. You must become the kind of person success is drawn to. That means building discipline not when it's easy, but when your body is tired, when your mind is fogged, when no one is watching. That means choosing growth over comfort every day. That means learning to move without motivation, because your mission is bigger than your mood. This is not about hype. It's about becoming the kind of person who makes winning look inevitable, because they have trained for the storm before it ever arrived. You must think like the 1%, but act before you ever get there. That is the paradox of transformation. So here's the raw truth. Your circumstances don't matter. Your past doesn't matter. Your fears don't matter. Only one thing does: the decision you make right now about who you are. Because once that decision is made, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because you do. And the world has no choice but to reflect back the man or woman who walks with purpose. If you walk like you belong, if you act like it's already yours, if you train like there's no plan B, you become undeniable. People feel it. Opportunities respond to it. Success is drawn to it. But none of that can happen until you stop waiting for outside approval and start honoring the voice inside you that already knows the voice inside you. It doesn't scream, it whispers. But its truth is louder than the chaos of the world, louder than the doubt of others, louder than the noise of mediocrity begging you to stay small. And you know that voice. You've heard it in the quiet moments. In the dead of night, when the world is asleep and your soul starts to stir, demanding more from you, that's not fantasy. That's your calling. Ignore it, and you'll spend your life chasing shadows. Honor it, and you'll become lightning in human form. But understand this, your belief is not some soft comfort blanket. It is a weapon, sharpened through repetition and earned through fire. Belief is not just thinking it's possible. Belief is refusing to quit until the world catches up to what you already know to be true. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination. Let that sink in. He was told he had no ideas, and then he built an empire out of them, because his vision wasn't dependent on what others saw, it was anchored to what he saw. And so is yours. But here's where most people fail. They want the result before the identity. They want the crown before they've earned the scars. They want to be recognized before they've built the kind of inner character that can carry the weight. But if you want the real thing, if you want a life that roars with meaning and influence, you must go deeper than desire. You must go into the fire of discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it's proof. Proof to yourself that your vision matters more than your impulses. Proof that you're not just playing the game. You're rewriting the rules, and that discipline, it shows up in the smallest places, in the moment you get up when you don't feel like it, in the decision to push harder when everyone else is slowing down, in the refusal to quit when nothing around you is clapping. You are either training your mind to obey your purpose, or you are training it to obey your fear. There is no middle ground. This is the law of success. You don't get what you want. You get who you are, and who you are is built in the shadows, not in front of cameras, not when it's trending, but when it's just you, your dream, and the grind. That's why purpose is everything, not because it's poetic, but because it gives you power in the pain. It gives you fuel when the tank is empty. It becomes your compass when everything else is chaos. And you will need it, because the path to greatness is not gentle. It does not care about your excuses. It will test you. It will strip you down to the core. It will throw storms at you not to destroy you, but to see if you're serious. And when that storm comes, the man without purpose collapses. But the one who has decided, the one who has etched his purpose into the stone of his soul, he walks through fire like it was his birthright. You don't try to be great, you train to be great. You don't hope to become something more. You decide and then become the kind of person who never backs down. So right now, wherever you are, make the decision that you are done negotiating with fear, that you are finished waiting for someone to validate your dream, that you will no longer play the role of the underdog in your own story, because your success starts inside. It starts the moment you stop looking around and start looking within. There's a lion inside you, but it's been caged by excuses. Break the cage, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because success doesn't come to the man who waits. It comes to the man who walks like he already owns it. You want to know why most people never rise. It's not because they lack potential. It's because they never demand more from themselves. They've been taught to chase comfort, to worship convenience, to run from the very pain that forges greatness. But look at every giant in history: Lincoln, rising from a cabin floor with no formal education; Carnegie, grinding in a factory at the age of 13; Opera, abused and doubted but still rising. They all had one thing in common: they went through hell and didn't come out clean. They came out transformed, because success doesn't come to those who avoid struggle. It comes to those who use it, who take every scar and sharpen it into a sword, who take every setback and turn it into strategy. Do you understand what's at stake here? You were not born for mediocrity. You were not put on this earth just to exist. You are here to build, to create, to lead. But you will never unlock that power until you stop outsourcing your fire, until you stop waiting for someone else to hand you the key. The key has always been inside, buried under the lies, under the fear, under the broken expectations of a world that wants you tame. But you were never meant to be tame. You were born to be dangerous to doubt. To walk into a room and change the temperature, to speak and be heard, to act and be remembered, but none of that happens if you keep living like your dreams are a side project. Your dream must become your duty. Your growth must become your obsession. Your mind must become your kingdom, and no one else should sit on the throne. You must decide what kind of man or woman you're going to be, not someday, now, because if you don't choose it, the world will choose for you, and it will choose small. But you were not built for small. You were built to stand 10 feet tall, with a mind sharper than steel and a spirit that refuses to kneel. And how do you build that? How do you forge the kind of identity that bends reality around it? You get clear, you get still, and you listen to the voice that's been buried under years of distraction, buried under obligations, buried under fear. The voice that says, you are meant for more. That is not arrogance. That is truth, and once you hear it, you act, not once, every day, even when you're tired, especially when you're tired, because consistency is what separates the talkers from the titans. It's not talent that wins. It's clarity married to discipline, it's obsession married to patience, it's vision married to execution over and over again. You become unstoppable not because you're gifted, but because you become immune to excuses. Because you stopped entertaining weakness, and yes, you will fall, you will break, but the version of you that rises, the version built from the ashes of defeat, that is the one the world won't be able to ignore. So keep showing up. Keep rising, keep pushing, not because it's easy, but because the man or woman you're becoming demands that level of commitment. Success doesn't start when you win. It starts when you no longer need the win to validate your worth. It starts when you stand up with nothing but hunger in your gut and conviction in your chest and say, this is who I am now, not later, not when I have proof, now. Because once you become that person inside, the world has no choice but to meet you where you already live.